Here. So thank you so much. This morning we're thrilled to have Vicki Simon lead us in the meditation. Good morning, Vicki. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jeff. So good to see all of you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for jumping in. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And I hope it's spring becoming and you're planned.
Oh, it's getting there.
Good morning. So yeah, I'll hand it over to you. I guess there were a couple of announcements I can make. Menla, what were those? I didn't write them down.
I've got them if you want them, Jeff, probably. Okay. She's not a co-host. Let me make her a co-host.
I just asked her to unmute.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The announcements are, we have our last master class coming up in April on the 17th. So we'd love to have you join us for that if you can. On the 24th, we have our next Ask Salama session, which is a Saturday afternoon. It's a great chance to get your questions asked in a small, intimate setting, a spiritual conversation, so to speak. And then May 1st is our day-long, our next day-long. We had one in January that went well, and I hope that you can join us. It goes from 10 to 4 on May 1st. So watch for your announcements and on the website. So thank you, and thank you, Vicki.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's so good to see all of you. Some of your faces are really familiar. Some of them are familiar from now journeying together in this. I guess it's been over a year that Lama has been doing this. What a blessing for us all. And some of you are brand new. Welcome. If you're new, so glad to have you here. The way I always begin practice and the way we do on retreat is with Refuge and Bodhichitta. I know in the prayer book, it's page 7. Jeff, do you have that, or Pete? The Pali Refuge and Bodhichitta? Yeah. That we could begin with that today. Okay. It would be so much fun, and I know they are working on technology so we can interact with one another in chanting. Right now, just chant along with me at home. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the fully awakened, perfectly enlightened Lord Buddha. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I take refuge in the enlightened Buddha. I take refuge in the sublime Dharma teaching. I take refuge in the noble Sangha community. Continue with me where it says Bodhicitta. From now until reaching perfect Buddhahood, for the benefit of all sentient beings without exception, I shall practice the 6 perfections wholeheartedly day and night. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. We vow to transcend them. Dharma teachings are boundless. We vow to realize them. The Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. We vow to embody it. Can we go back to page 1, Jeff? I think it's page 1. 7-line supplication to Padmasambhava. If you don't know this, feel free to listen along. If you pick it up as you continue singing, just join in naturally. We'll sing through the first part 3 times, and then we will continue on to the refrain, as long as calling the guru as if from afar, Lama always says. As if is the key words there, I believe. Ong Orjan Yulchin Hub Jang Sam Pema Gesa Dong Pola Yatsen Chogin Yo Drupne Pema Jung Ne Jesu Drak Kordu Kandro Mang Pogor Keki Jesu Dak Druki Jinji Lapchir Shek Suso Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Ong Orjan Yuljinu Jang Sam Pemai Gesar Tong Pola Yatsen Shokin Yo Drune Pemai Jung Ne Jesu Drak Kordu Kandroma Pokor Keki Jesu Tak Druki Jinjir Lapchir Shek Suso Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Ong Orjan Yuljinu Jang Sam Pemai Gesar Dong Pola Yatsen Chogin Yo Drunye Pemai Jung Ne Jesu Drak Kordu Kandro Mang Bokor Keki Jesu Dak Druki Jinji Lapchir Shek Suso Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Om Ha Hum Bensa Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Om Ha Hum Bensa Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Ahum Om Ahum Bensa Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Ahum Benza Guru Pemai Siddhi Om Om Ahum Benza Guru Pemai Siddhi 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 Om Ahum Benza Guru Permai Siddhi Om. 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 This last time, just with your heart. And with either eyes opened or closed, just do a little body scan right now. You're holding tension anywhere in your body? Can you find a sense of self anywhere? Where is it? Your feet? Your calves? Your knees? Your thighs? Midsection? Your stomach? Your hara? How about your solar plexus? Is there a little tension there? Your throat? Your head? Just sitting, just breathing, just being. How sweet it is. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just be here with me now. Natural, great perfection. Let go and let Buddha do it through you. At ease as it is. Lama's teacher, Nyosho Kempo Rinpoche, used to say to them, "Lo, lo, rest, rest." Eyes open, heart open, everything open. watching things come and go on the flotsam and jetsam, all of it coming and going on the stream. Leave it as it is and rest your weary heart and mind. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Join with me. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om. I believe Lama has joined us and will join with us. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. Om. Let's dedicate the merits of our practice. Let's see. Page 23 in the regular prayer book, Jeff. Dedication of virtue and complete realization. Gewadi. Thank you. Join me in the Tibetan if you know it, or just join us in the English following. Gewadi Hurdu Da Zogpa Chempo Drup Yorne Droa Chi Kyang Malupa Dei Sala Gopar Shok. Through this virtue, may we swiftly realize and fully embody the natural great perfection, and thereby bring all without exception to its complete realization. And the Bodhichitta dedication right beneath it. Let's do that too. Lama often tells us that this is the Dalai Lama's favorite, one of his favorite prayers. The Jamchuk, there you go. Just raise it up a little bit if you could, Jeff. Thank you so much. Zhongchup Samchok Riposhe Makye Panam Kye Gyurchik Ke Panyam Par Me Payo Kong Ne Kong Tu Pewar Shok. May the pure, brilliant sun of Bodhichitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And then can we do the new Millennium Prayer also? Whichever version you've got there will do. Okay, beautiful. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world and an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. May we better prepare ourselves for the natural calamities that beset us all. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey. One beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home. All right, I will see if I am able to let Lama on here for you. There he is. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and welcome, Lama. So glad to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you, Vicky. You were always with me.
You're always with me, Lama.
And you all. Hi, how are you? Yes, it's a beautiful spring-like morning here in New England. Thanks for leading co-meditation and chanting and your beautiful heart presence, Vicky. And all of you, really. It takes a village, don't it? The birds are back. Spring is trying to spring up. In some places, it's already sprung. Depends where you are. Everything is so relative, isn't it? Good thing to remember. Some parts of the country, people are telling me already wild spring is happening, and not to mention in other places in the world. And right here, the juices are definitely flowing. In fact, I was out walking this morning and I could feel the sap rising within, like a growing thing. Although I'm not chlorophyll-based plant, maybe it's the spirit, the subtle energy that's rising as we are all naturally growing things on this planet and reaching for the light, the sun, like lotuses with our feet in the mud, raising our faces to the light, the sun. One of my friends, Earl Davis, a very talented guy, longtime Buddhist friend, meaning since the 70s, Earl said, oh, actually, he sent me one of his poems once. It was called The Earthworm, and how he feels like an earthworm in the dark with his eyes in the dark, his mouth full of dirt, struggling up to the light and the air and the sun. Anybody have that feeling ever? I feel that way sometimes coming out of COVID winter here and solitude and lockdown. Although noble solitude is a great thing and it's different than mere solitude or loneliness. Just like noble silence is very intentional and a wonderful awareness cultivation practice, a mindfulness, a spiritual discipline, noble silence, rather than just not having anybody to talk to. Similarly, fasting is different than just starving. There's intention, there's purpose to it. Like in Tibetan Buddhism, there's a monthly fast, the 15th, the full moon day of every month, lunar month, the 15th. The 10th day of the waxing moon yesterday, in the Tibetan Buddhist calendar, the Vajrayana calendar, the Himalayan calendar. 10th day of the waxing moon is Padmasambhava's day, the Daka day, the enlightened masculine, the awakened masculine energy day, as it's 2/3 to full. And the 25th is 10 days after the 15th. The full moon is the other side, the yin of that yang. The Dakini day, Yeshe Sogyal's day, of the waning moon, of the dark side, of the other side, the complementary energy of the yin yang, the Yabyum, the masculine feminine energy. So today on the 15th, everything is perfectly balanced. The full moon rises, in case you're not a nature watcher or a calendar astronomy watcher. The full moon rises as the sun sets on the 15th of every month. And then things get a little less equal at that time. The sun sets, then the moon rises an hour later or 2 hours later, and so on. And now that it's spring in the Gregorian Western calendar, March 21st, it's officially spring, although spring comes late here in New England. But we don't mind, we're used to it. As long as we have the Red Sox, we don't care about anything else, because red is a Dharma color, as we all know, the Mahayana red color, as is saffron and yellow. The red of the throat chakra, of expression, of vivid, authentic expression, proactive, creative expression, not just reactive shouting back or harsh words or unconscious words, but spontaneous, proactive expression like dohas, songs of enlightenment, dohas of the masters. And if you're interested, there are many to read, beginning with Milarepa's songs and many others, Shabkar's, Rinpoche's songs, the songs of the Kagyu Gurus, an anthology translated by Padmakara Committee, and others. And you can hear some of these on YouTube and in more fast media, modern ways too, streaming and beaming, no doubt. I'm still in the book world myself, reading and loving these things, the mysticism of the world, giving myself my own literature of enlightenment course of study, being the eternal student of Buddha, of Dharma, and of Sangha myself, as well as fulfilling the teacher role now and then. So I hope you similarly will be, as the Tibetans say, like a yak eating grass, always growing toward the light, not just reaching, grasping, postponing, waiting. As I always say, it's too late to wait and it's too early to hurry. Not just waiting, being here while getting there, and yet continuing on this ongoing, infinite spiritual journey together, journey of awakefulness, of awakening. The journey more important than the goal. Although intention and aspiration and even goal is very important, to be clear on that and focus on that as well, not just be wandering. Although certainly all those who wander are not lost, as Tolkien says in The Lord of the Rings. All that glitters is not gold, Vicky. All that wanders, Vicky, with your golden locks. All who wander are not lost, Surya. Oh my God, this has been quite a year. I think I've traveled less in this year than any year in my life since I was, I don't know what, let's say 15 or 16. Of course, I didn't run away from home and during the traveling circus. Well, I worked at a circus in Long Island after the afternoons in high school sometimes. Yeah, it was called the Big American Circus, which was kind of like non-competition to the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus that came to Madison Square Garden in New York every year. I did work at the circus as an usher with some of my high school friends. That was fun. And met all kinds of wild and woogie people from other countries, like Indian mahouts, elephant trainers, and Romani, formerly known as gypsies from Eastern Europe, who had all kinds of magic acts and fire breathing and pre-vaudevillian acts from the Middle Ages, those kind of carnival acts from street theater that the Romani, dare I say, the gypsies used to perform, and the rubber couple people from Mongolia, and the Russian acrobats and high wire acts, and really unusual, cool people living in trailers and traveling circus people, many international, really fantastic. And the people that rode and stood on the bareback naked Arabian white horses that galloped around the arena. God, it was fun. Anyway, it introduced me early to the nature of things as not unlike a circus. I lived in the Big Apple, the New York area. I'm not going to joke about rottenness or its core. New York is a great shocker of the world, a great megalopolis or whatever, a big idea that somebody had, just like Boston named the city on the hill after the shining beacon of Athens in olden times. So, New York, the Big Apple, is a great idea as well as a great megalopolis. And it doesn't even have the tallest buildings or the biggest population anymore, but it still probably has the biggest ego or biggest self-sense as a world capital, we admit. Anyway, the Big Apple Circus, it was fun. And it introduced me to the nature, as I was saying, of life as, theater, as drama, as act, as international, as inconceivable, as magic, as unimaginable. Where did these people come from that were like rubber, that could bend over backwards and then put their heads between their legs and smoke a cigarette with their face turned up toward the audience near their belly button, even though they had started bending backwards and through their legs? It was like, what? So then when I started to get introduced to world mythology and the religions and cosmology, I started to realize that, all these things are possible. There could be multi-armed, multi-legged, multi-faced, what did Joseph Campbell call it for your students of these matters, the 1,000 faces of God. Everything is an aspect of God or a face, not just one image, the old white man with the beard. Yahweh, Jehovah, the wrathful God of the Old Testament, or one image, the gentle, blonde, blue-eyed Jesus of the New Testament. So amusing to consider now in our diversifying culture, not to mention the rest of the world, the Middle Eastern, whatever he was, Semitic Jesus being blonde and blue-eyed like the painters who did it in New York or in the Bible Belt, perhaps, in, I don't know, wherever that is, North Carolina or somewhere, imagining Jesus as Jesus and blue-eyed, looks like us. So looks like us isn't a bad idea, actually, because we are reflections and replicas of that. As I've said many times, I'm going to say it again, we are God's pseudopods, extensions. One hand, 5 billion fingers, or whatever image. So when I read, or probably I heard somebody reciting Shakespeare in high school or on audio tape, reel to reel in English class, or at Stratford in Connecticut, where we saw Shakespeare play something. So when I heard somebody intoning on stage, all the worlds of theater and all the people players, we come on for our minute and then we go off stage and are gone. It made sense to me. It reminded me of the theater-like, magical, evanescent, inconceivable nature of what I had experienced with various kinds of people and things and, energies and ways of being at the circus, the Big Apple Circus, the Big American Circus, I think it was called, in Long Island, in Hempstead, at the, I forget what it's called, Hempstead Coliseum, probably, on Northern Parkway. You New Yorkers will be well familiar with such names. Anyway, the notion of running away to the circus has long been a part of American lore, just like, Go West, Young Man, Manifest Destiny, the cowboy myth, and other things. So I didn't run away to the circus. I always followed the middle way, which was like, maybe I was straddling the fence. I didn't have the guts, the chutzpah to run away to the circus. I just went and worked there in the afternoon. So I got credit from my parents for working and collected a little money. And also I got to stay home, and be fed and watered every day by my mother, by my parents. And it was easier. Just like when I was in college, still somehow I managed to go hitchhike across the country and back to California, go to Florida, and go to India in my 4th year. Not easy to do. and still graduate with honors, blah, blah. Oh, did I mention? And please my, parents, which was, of course, growing up all important. And God knows some of us, it may still be important, right? Even if the parents are long gone, but in our psyche, trying to get approval or please the authority figures, parents or otherwise, something to be aware of. I'm not just rattling on here, believe me. I wouldn't be wasting your time, all of you, if I wasn't giving a Dharma talk, but making it personal. Like yesterday was Passover, today's Passover. We had a Zoom Passover with my Jewish clan in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and the Bambinos, now the grandnieces and grandnephews and grandchildren. So fun. Meanwhile, in my jokey mind, and I didn't bring this up to them, but I bring it up to you. Partly I didn't bring it up to them because some of the kids were first sons and all, but Passover has to do with something about the angel of death passing over the houses of when in the Old Testament story, sent to take the lives of the first sons as a punishment to the people of Egypt, the Pharaoh and all who enslaved the people and all that. I am a first son. Maybe you are too. Well, you just identify with that what a horrible, curse, the taking of the first sons. And by taking, I'm not talking about taking them into military service or somewhere, taking their life. So I was thinking about that and being glad that we live in a society and a world that we live that's evolved quite a bit, even though we might have some problems too, which are also on my mind, which I will mention, like now we've had a third recent multiple shooting in our dear country with the right to bear arms inscribed into wherever it is, the Constitution, maybe it's in the Bill of Rights. I don't know if it says the right to bear assault weapons that fire 60 bullets a minute, rather than the right to protect your home with a single shot musket. But anyway, the NRA is very powerful in this country. I'm not going to go on a political tirade, but I hope we're not giving way to a spate of other multiple killings, since guns are so available. Need I quote any statistics, which I can't remember accurately, but there are definitely more than 400 or 500 million guns in this country, probably 600, 700, or 800, although there's only 330 million people. Unlike Canada, where there's hardly any guns at all by comparison to speak of, and killing is a lot less. So I hope we're not emboldening people, we and some of our orange-haired leaders, to be more free and easy with the taking of life, which is such a horrible thing and has been since, for millennia. And we finally pretty much got away from human sacrifice, pretty much, not entirely in this globe, from slavery and racism and so on. Of course, we still have some kinds of slavery, racism, and even sexual slavery, especially in the poorer parts of the world. There's a horror about children being sold into that, especially in Asia, that I'm very familiar with, developing countries. So thus, peace, nirvana, peace, harmony, bozo, as the Hopis, but it might be the Navajo call it. Go in peace, harmony, go in beauty, some people translate it, because peace is beautiful. We are truth seekers. We seek, God, truth, beauty. These are all pretty much synonymous. They're very multifaceted, profound, inconceivable, beyond the limited intellect ideas, which as a Buddhist, as a spirit, we seek sattvas, awakening, arising like the spring energy to the light of harmony, beauty, truth. What does it say on John Keats' famous poem, Keats' Ode on a Grecian Urn? Truth is beauty, beauty, truth. Forever shall we seek, and she be fair, she be beautiful. So we are the seekers. And it's beautiful, whatever we call it. God, truth, love, harmony, peace, shanti, acceptance, shanti, nirvana. Deathless peace is Buddha's word for it. Deathless ease, peace, harmony. So important. And hopefully our spiritual path is bringing us more and more of that beauty and truth and reality and harmony, and coziness, hygge. I think it's called in Danish. It's become a nice concept lately, comfy, at homeness, belonging. We so need it in this world, and to hug and embrace all, and especially the youngers, the young'uns, next generations whose nervous systems, whose brains, whose hearts, whose characters just being formed. That's where the future of the world is. Need I mention? It's such a cliche, but who thinks about it that deeply? If we're shocking their nervous systems all the time, how do we expect them to develop in harmony or have any inner peace at all? Needless to say, then the virulent conflicting emotions like anger and greed and prejudice run rampant as defense mechanisms, just like wild animals have to defend themselves in the most graphic ways. Do we want to go in that direction? I don't think so. So it's spring, time for a spring awakening, come out of hibernation. American Buddhas awaken, as I like to say, throw off your chains, your hang-ups and concepts. Doesn't mean you have to become a simpleton, but we could simplify things, including our thinking and our demands. We all have needs. Some of us have overweening or overwhelming needs and desires. That's where it gets a little extreme. So back to the middle way. Staying home, but going out every day, having fun at the circus, whatever shit you have to shovel, whatever people look different than you, whatever color, persuasion, or disagreeing ideas they may have. We're all here at the circus, every generation, same circus, new clowns. I love that saying. I said that once to my former partner, let's say, in the Dzogchen Center, Paul Crafts, who was the chairman of the board of the Dzogchen Foundation for at least 12 years, 10 years. And his retort was, yes, you could also say, same clowns, new circus, as we keep trying to get reborn. Same clowns, new circus. Anyway, it just shows you everything is so relevant. Whatever we think, that's fine, but things may not be exactly that way. The map, the concepts is not the territory. So as you've heard me say, I'm the founder of Thinkaholics Anonymous, TA, the 12-step program for those who are addicted to thoughts, which is another form of substance abuse. The first principle of 12-step programs, I had to admit that my life had fallen under the power of thoughts. And in order to return to health and sanity, I had to resort to a higher power than just thinking. In this case, to comment and explain, it means awareness. That is a higher power in Buddhism, the non-theistic Buddhism. Awareness with a capital A plus, or consciousness, higher consciousness, consciousness cultivation, awareness, is the higher power, the inner power in Buddhism. And that's how we empower ourselves, how we strengthen that muscle that we all have, not something we necessarily need to get from above or from outside. Use that awareness muscle through mindfulness and consciousness raising practices, focus and concentration, and get stronger and firmer and more upright and rebalance our ship, rebalance this endangered environment, and find peace and ease and harmony together, and save the planet, save ourselves, save our children, and the species, the whales, the spotted owls also. So that's a few thoughts for today. And I do want to reiterate the importance of having a moment of prayer and thought for all the victims of multiple killings in our society, not to mention terrorist bombings and pandemics and other things, man-made or otherwise. And it's a beautiful, miraculous life gifted to us. We didn't necessarily create it ourselves, nor are we totally in control. Nobody can do it all, fix it all, but nobody is exempt from participating because we're all interconnected, interdependent, interwoven, interbeing. That's why I like to talk about co-meditation, intermeditation, leading to interbeing, which we already are. Not just meditating, getting away from it all, closing our eyes, closing our ears, perhaps closing our hearts and minds and hoping for the pot of gold, the rainbow. No, every step of the way is the rainbow, is the golden rainbow. And openness helps us savor and appreciate that fact. Being here while getting there. Being there while getting there. But being here fully and completely present and accountable. In love, in the heart of the matter, by whatever names we may call it. This is the Dharma for today. New Dharma. New Dharma talks. It's a living tradition, a living flame, not something codified, rigid, or ossified, hardening in place, like hardening of the arteries. No. We don't want to fall into hardening of the arteries in the name of beliefs and dogma called religion or spirit. That's the near enemy of being spiritual, becoming dogmatic, sectarian, or overly fixed and rigid in our beliefs and ways. Love is the way, the truth, and the light, the life. Love comes not from outside, friends, but through loving. Thou art that, as it says in Indian Upanishads, thou art that, tatwam asi. Thou art that, with a capital T, whatever you imagine it. In India, it means God. Thou art that. God, intermediary or priest, teacher, guru, mentor, parent, and oneself, inseparable, as it says in the ancient Upanishad. And I bow to that in your seat. Don't overlook it. With them, we could say today as a good pronoun, to them. My pronoun is we. Thank you. Do we have any questions today? Vicky, thank you again. Lovely.
You're so welcome, Lama. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? We have one. I think we only have a couple minutes, Lama, but from Byron, it seems to be so much easier to remain present during the morning, but becomes more difficult as the day progresses. Do you have any advice from being able to extend the ability to remain present throughout the afternoon and evenings?
Advice is cheap, but I don't know if following is the right word. Applying it or finding your own way is much more costly and you have to invest more in it than just hearing or accepting somebody's advice, whether it's right or wrong even is another matter. First of all, and I'm more of the question man than the answer man, as I've often explained, and I have a whole book called Life's Big Questions and How to Find Your Own Answers. I would question your statement that it's easier to remain present in the morning. Maybe it's easier for you. Maybe you're a morning person. Maybe you have more time or you do some wise things in the morning, like exercise, spiritual practices, I don't know, healthy breakfast. Maybe later in the day, other things intrude, or you have other habits and you whatever, pig out or drink too much later in dinner, or, just get tired. Or some people are night people. So it might be easier for them later in the day and they have a bad start in the morning where they can't get out of bed or can't get going and, people have different remedies for that. A few shots of espresso, which of course, when it wears off, then what? And so on. So you start being like a yo-yo going up and down. Also, something you have to figure out and deal with. So besides that, not everybody is a morning person, but the idea, I believe, and I've said this before, but I think it's important to remember, is integration is the name of the game. Let's say you get up in the morning and you're gung-ho, which, you know, if you're young, you may be. If you're old, it might not come that naturally. Then you do some things that you have chosen to do that you like to do. I'll just throw out a few ideas, like meditate, like take a shower or a bath, or, you know, go swimming or something, like do yoga, prayer, chant, run, exercise. Let's speculate. Then you feel good afterwards, even during, and you get your second wind and you feel good afterwards. But then how do you keep that feeling during the day? Well, first of all, the notion of keeping any feeling is a bit questionable. Feelings come and go, thoughts come and go. We're too much under their power. That's why I was talking about the 12-step thinkaholic program, freedom from being under the power of thoughts, having thoughts, but not necessarily believing in them or being run by them, or feelings for that matter. Important as they are, we don't want to suppress them, but we also don't want to just be carried away by every feeling all the time into, you know, action or mood. So the body and the spirit and the mind, you know, the heart, let's just simplify the body and the mind, or the physical and the mental, emotional, are very related. So if you do things with the body and the breath and energy, it affects the mind, the heart, the soul, the emotions. And if you do things with the awareness, the, you know, the emotion, the mind training, it affects the body. It helps you relax, be, you know, less stressful. I mean, modern science has proved these things. So the body, mind continuum, body, mind, spirit, energy, soul, whatever you want to call it, is very important to work it together. So what your biorhythms are during the day may vary with different people. It may vary with oneself, you know, the same person over different parts of the calendar year, winter and summer, for example. Or it may vary with different parts of your life, like when you're a teen might be quite different than when you're in your 40s or 70s, what parts of the day you're more effective, or if you need a nap or not to restart and boost the energy in the afternoon. So how you keep it going all day, keeping any impermanent thing is a cause of irritation and suffering, as Buddha said, and as we can understand. Holding on too tightly to the impermanent things passing through our fingers just gives us rope burn and irritation. So loosening our grip, being less attached, fixated, having less investment in expectations. You can still have expectations and plans, but being less attached or investment in the outcomes can relieve some of this irritation and disappointment, this suffering, this dukkha, this dissatisfactoriness, as Buddha called it. The first noble truth, dissatisfactoriness of the unenlightened life, holding on to things that are unreliable, impermanent, slipping away. Thus, people simplify it, oversimplify it, and say desire or attachment is the cause of suffering. Well, gripping too tightly is the cause of rope burn. Sometimes you have to grip tightly. If you're trying to hold on to somebody who's slipping down the hill, you might get rope burn. Your shoulder might come out of joint, but you still hold on. But that's the extreme case. In general, the middle way, not too tight, not too loose, like tuning a guitar string, whereas Buddha said, like tuning a sitar string, not too tight and not too loose. So I think that's an important principle for us all, and not trying to keep going your good feeling from the good morning activities. It's impossible to hold on to or bottle any feeling or mood. And feelings and thoughts come and go, but we can rest in the awareness of it, in the bigger, hold the space for all of that and all that appears from within and all that comes from without. That's more the awareness practice, awareness cultivation, and also the fruit of awareness, that we have more space for it all. The bigger picture can frame, you know, there's room in the bigger picture for all parts of the picture. We don't have to have like a peephole view. So looking at the sky through a straw, you might call an infinite, but it's not the same as looking at the sky from the top of a mountain. Even though it's the same infinity, it's a limited infinity. So let's be aware of whether we have an open or closed mind or heart. In fact, Nyoshu Khenpo Rinpoche, my Dzogchen master and co-founder of the Dzogchen Center, now gone and reborn in Bhutan. He left this world in 96, but it might have been 99. I think 99. At our retreat center in Dordogne, France. Nyoshu Khenpo Rinpoche, the great Dzogchen master, he said the main difference between those who are enlightened and aren't is the scope of their mind, meaning their awareness, not their intellect. Scope. Well, that's just one way of saying it, because big is not necessarily better. But when we talk about closed mind or open mind, that's what we're talking about here: the scope, the openness, the open awareness, the space to embrace things. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, yes, life is full of challenges and sufferings, but we could embrace the suffering more joyfully. So that's how we integrate it and spread it throughout all parts of life, not just the part that's best. Of course, we feel better after doing something that we like in the morning. But we may have other things to do that we don't like, but like and dislike, the polarities of like and dislike are very different than the hugeness, the internal embrace of love. Love includes it all. Like and dislike are like liking and dislike people or flavors at the Baskin Robbins. It's all ice cream, though. It's all tasty. And you're allowed to have your preferences. Just don't have a tantrum if your flavor is not available that day. So integration is the name of the game. Bringing it into every part of your life, and not just being run by liking and disliking, pulling towards and pushing away your whole life. That's the dance of illusion. That's very, very exhausting. That exhausts us all. Thank you. Good question. And I can see we're out of time. So love to one and all. Have a beautiful Sunday. Every day is a Sabbath.
Thank you,
So
Lama.
we appreciate it. Any announcements?
We need to close now, but we just posted the upcoming programs. Last master class on April 17th, Ask the Lama on April 24th, and our live virtual day retreat on May 1st, and I'll post those again into the chat. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Lama. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you. Love to one and all. Be well. Stay safe, healthy.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Beautiful. Bye.